What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 11th Doctor Matt Smith story, Vincent and the Doctor. Now this is an episode from Matt Smith's first season, which is season 5, series 5. And to be honest, it's always been one of my favourite 11th Doctor stories. It's fairly simple. The monster is not really the big focus of the story, but just the chemistry and the story between the Doctor, Amy and Vincent is just so good in this story, and there are so many great moments between all three characters that it's always been an episode that I've adored. It always has been. So yeah, I was looking forward to watching this one again. I've seen it quite a few times, but this time, making some notes and having a more analytical view on it. So anyway, this is Vincent and the Doctor, starting with the cast. Before I do get started, I'm sorry if you can hear like some drilling or something in the background. One of my neighbours is doing some drilling, so you may hear that. Hopefully my microphone doesn't pick it up though. But yeah, as for the cast, Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor is amazing in this one. This is one of my favourite performances for Matt Smith. He has some really funny moments, like when he's when he goes out of Vincent's house to go and investigate and try and figure out what this monster is. He's like, "I'll be back quicker than you can say. Where's he got to now?" And he walks out the room and he comes back in like really loud, like, not that quick. That's a really funny moment. Then you've got the funny moment where he bumps into Amy just after that, and he's like, "Oh, you scared the living daylights out of me." And then you've got the whole thing where when Vincent's painting the church, he's getting super impatient and super nervous. Altogether, Matt Smith's performance in this one is great. He's written amazing. He's also got a lot of very serious moments with Vincent and Amy as well. So yeah, all round, it's a stellar performance from Matt Smith. And Karen Gillan as Amy Pond is also really quite good in this one. She has great chemistry with the actor who plays Vincent. I haven't actually got his name up on the screen at the moment to say who he is, but I mean, he does a great job too. Let me just say that. He does a really, really good job at playing Vincent in this story. But yeah, Karen Gillan does a great job at Amy, as she usually does. Yeah, just all around good stuff for the whole cast. Alright, so on to the good and the bad, starting with the good. The chemistry between the Doctor, Amy and Vincent is great. Honestly, it's one of the reasons why this is one of, if not my favourite Matt Smith story. It's because of the chemistry. It's some of the best chemistry. I mean, Matt Smith and Karen Gillan have great chemistry as it is, but then the guy who plays Vincent, he has such great chemistry with them as well, considering it's a one-off appearance. I mean, he does briefly show up again in The Big Bang, is it? Or The Pandora Opens, but I don't actually think he's with the Doctor and Amy in that at all. In this one appearance with them here, in his first appearance, the chemistry is amazing between the three actors and just the characters in general. So, yeah, it really makes the story just feel, especially with how much of an emotional character story that it is, it really, really makes it good. The creature that only Vincent can see. So the creature we find out is called a Crephaeus. Basically, they're these creatures in space that apparently a lot of them do get left behind. They're supposed to travel in like packs, but a lot of the time one gets left behind and basically cannot cope because it's supposed to be in a pack and it's on its own on a planet that it doesn't know. So it's a pretty interesting creature. I mean, it's not the most in-depth crazy creature ever, but this is much more of a character story than it is a monster story. But I still think the Crephaeus is good enough for this episode. And I like how only Vincent can see it. We don't really get a great reason as to why that is. It's something to do with he's very artistic, and apparently that means he can see this somehow. I don't really understand that, and it's not really, shown or talked about, but yeah, I do think it's a generally quite interesting, the fact that the Doctor cannot even see this creature until he uses this device, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, I think it's just pretty interesting. The Doctor using a gadget to see the creature, like I was just saying, the Doctor basically finds this gadget in the TARDIS. He's like, finally I'm going to use this thing, and he finds a use for it, and he can now see the creature kind of through a mirror, like a rear view mirror from like a truck or something. So yeah, I like how we've got another gadget here, and that means that we can at least see the monster at times, which is good. The Doctor is so impatient and can't stop talking. I briefly talked about this before, but I know I've actually heard a lot of people say that they don't like this moment in the episode where Vincent's starting to paint the church, and the Doctor's just getting really impatient. He can't stop talking. Vincent's telling him to shut up, I'm trying to concentrate, and the Doctor is just so impatient. I've heard a lot of people say that they do not like this. They think, oh, the Doctor, he's lived for this many years, how can he be so impatient? But I think, especially for Matt Smith's Doctor, it works really well. I just think his character, he seemed like he's a very, quick and he's always very witty. He's always like quick. He's never like, the 11th Doctor's never slow and he's just not that sort of character. He's always really quick talking, really quick action, just doing things all the time. He's always doing things. And so this makes perfect sense for this Doctor. I mean, it kind of happens again in The Power of Three in Season 7, an episode that I don't really like, but I do quite like the part where the Doctor he's sitting around and he has to do things because he can't just sit and wait. He just isn't that sort of person. So yeah, I generally think that whole scene is really good. Vincent talking about the sky and the stars. So after they defeat the monster in a bit of a meh way. I mean, Vincent's really the only one that can defeat it because he's the only one that can probably see it. He doesn't mean to kill it. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, why did the Doctor not have a go at Vincent for killing the monster? He's done it to other characters in the past that have killed things when he's been like, no, there's another way. But honestly, I don't really know what the other way would have been here. I think the Doctor was going to try and somehow save it and take it off of Earth, but there was no explanation of how that was going to happen. So Vincent, even after he killed it, he didn't mean to kill it. He only wanted to wound it to save, to defend the Doctor and Amy, to save the Doctor and Amy. So it doesn't bother me that the Doctor doesn't have a go at Vincent here. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's fine. But yeah, anyway, they end up laying down on the grass, and just the whole scene where Vincent's talking about the sky and the stars, and it like turns into like a painting. Really, really good direction. It looks really awesome, and it's just a great scene. The Doctor takes Vincent to the art museum. It's one of my favourite moments in all of Doctor Who, honestly. I love it when the Doctor takes Vincent to the museum, starts looking around at all the paintings, and then the Doctor talks to, I can't remember what his name is, but the actor's Bill Nye, I'm pretty sure. Is it Bill Nye? I think it's Bill Nye. Am I getting that wrong? I think I might be getting that wrong. Whoever it is, the guy at the museum, the tour guide, he gives this speech about Vincent, and just the emotion and the music in the background, it's just perfect. It is absolutely perfect, and I love that scene so much. And finally, after everything that happened, Vincent still committed suicide. So, once they go to the museum and Vincent's all happy and he's like, yeah, this is awesome, I'm really happy at the moment. Amy's like convinced that, yep, he didn't commit suicide, he lived on for much longer, there'll be so many more paintings at the museum. And then they get there and it turns out he still committed suicide at the same point that he did before. And ultimately she doesn't think that they really helped Vincent at all. And it's just a really sad moment. And yeah, I mean, it is just a really emotional moment for everyone. And on to the bad. There's only really one bad thing I have to say about this episode. And that's the awful dubbed over part. If you've seen the episode, you'll know what I mean. Basically, when the Doctor first encounters the invisible Crephaeus creature, he can't see it and he gets smacked onto the floor by it, and then he like jumps up from the floor and I can't remember what he says now, but he says something and the audio just sounds way off from every other part of audio in this episode. It just is really badly dubbed over. It's honestly terrible. It's not something that I'm going to really take any points off the score for, because it's just an editing issue, an editing mistake, just a bit of a stupid editing thing. So I'm not going to take points off it, but it is something that I thought I should bring up because it is pretty bad. Alright, so a rating out of 10. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. Vincent and the Doctor gets a 10 out of 10. It's probably my favourite Matt Smith story. If not, it's definitely up there. I just love the characters. I do quite like the Crephaeus as a villain for this story. It's not the best in the world, but I think, like I said before, because this is a character-focused story, it's a good enough villain because of that. I mean, it's kind of like the 11th Hour. It's more of a character piece, so the villain doesn't have to be that great, but it still does a good enough job. I feel the same way about this. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 easily for Vincent and the Doctor. So let's go and see what episode we will be reviewing next time. Alright, so here we are. We've got the TARDIS, which is full of episodes that we haven't reviewed yet on the channel. We'll give it a bit of a shake as we do. That should be good. Open it up. So if it's a Matt Smith one, we'll redraw it. If it's anything else, we will watch it. So I'm going to go kind of in the middle somewhere. of the pile. And it is this one here. As long as it, I think it's upside down, as long as it isn't a Matt Smith one, which it is. It's the Power of 3 actually, which is one that I talked about in this episode, but we won't be doing that one. We will do another one, because that's the Matt Smith one. The Unicorn and the Wasp. Okay, 10th Doctor story, awesome. I'd like to get another 9th Doctor one, because we've only done one so far, but I mean, to be fair, there are only like 10 9th Doctor stories, so there's not many in there. There's only 9 now. So The Unicorn and the Wasp, 10th Doctor story, another one that I really do quite like from season 4. So series 4. I don't know why I keep saying season. So yeah, that'll be our next new series review. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.